Alright, here we go. We've got some polynomial division today. Now I'm going to teach you two different ways to divide polynomials. And when I say this is kind of like factoring, it's not exactly a form of factoring, but it will be used to factor polynomials sometimes. So you do need to know both skills because I'll tell you right now, long division is kind of chaotic. Synthetic division is very quick and simple, but synthetic division can only be used for certain kinds of questions. So to remind you of how you actually do long division, what you do is you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 5? The answer is 1. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then what you do is you subtract. So 5 minus 3 is 2, 7, 7. So how many times does 3 go into 2? It doesn't. How many times does 3 go into 27? The answer is 9. And you get 27. So 277 minus 27 is 7. So then you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 7? And you say 2. That gives you 6, which gives you a remainder of 1. So your final answer is 192 and 1/3, because if you remember, you write your remainder over the 3 that's in front, what you are dividing by. So long division with polynomials is the exact same thing, but notice a star. You've got to remember your placeholders. So what comes second is what is the beginning of your long division. So we have x squared minus 2x plus 2, and then here's our big old division symbol. And we have 2x to the 4th plus 3x cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 1. And that's why I said remember your placeholders. You are not allowed to skip anything. So it's the same kind of question. X squared times what will give you 2x to the 4th power? The answer is 2x squared. So now you have to multiply everything by 2x squared. So 2x squared times x squared is your 2x to the 4th. 2x squared times a negative 2x is a negative 4x cubed. And then 2x squared times 2 is 4x squared. Now reminder, you are subtracting. So 2x to the 4th minus 2x to the 4th goes away like it's supposed to. And then you have 3x to the 3rd power minus a negative. So that's going to change to plus. So you have 7x cubed. And then you have 0 minus 4. So that's a negative 4x squared. And then, of course, you bring down your 5x and your negative 1. And you do it all over again. So what multiplies to 7x cubed when you're multiplying it to x squared? The answer is 7x. So plus 7x. So 7x times x squared is 7x cubed, what you wanted. 7x times a negative 2x is going to give you a negative 14x squared. And 7x times 2 is 14x. Again, you are subtracting. So that's going to give you, that goes away. Negative 4 minus a negative 14 is plus 14, so that's 10x squared. And then we have 5 minus 14, which is a negative 9x, and bring down your negative 1. And we have one more shot because we're all the way at the end to the constant. So x squared times what gives you 10x squared? The answer is 10. So that's going to give you your 10x squared. And 10 times a negative 2 is a negative 20x. And 10 times 2 is 20. One last time, you are going to be subtracting. So that's going to leave you with, cancel, negative 9 minus a negative 20 is going to leave you with 11x. And minus 21, that is your last step, so that is your remainder. So your final answer to this question is 2x squared plus 7x plus 10 plus, and then you have whatever your remainder is over what you are dividing by. And that's it. You're done. That's long division. Like Like I said, it's a little tricky, it's lengthy, but it's an important skill to know because the shortcut division doesn't always work. All right, so you get to try number 3 from start to finish all on your own. Pause the video and give it a try. Okay, so here you go. All you had to do is ask yourself the exact same questions. You should have ended up with y squared minus y plus 4 plus your remainder of negative 6y plus 9 over the y squared plus y minus 1. All right, long division, you need to know it. So here's a shortcut one. It's called synthetic division. Now the thing about synthetic division is you can only divide if you have an easy binomial to solve for. So for example, you have to be dividing by x minus 2 or x plus 3. You cannot divide by x squared plus 5 because that doesn't have a solution. So let me show you. This, we can say x minus 2 equals 0, so we know that x is equal to 2. If you can solve and get an integer, you can use synthetic division, and this is all you need to do. You make a big old L for longo, just kidding, for division. The x equals 2 goes in front. It's not the x minus 2, you just put the solution. So x minus 2 equals 0, so x equals 2. And then inside here, you just put your leading coefficients across the top. So we have 1x cubed, 2x squared, minus 6, there's supposed to be an x there, and minus 9. And then, this is all you need to do. You drop down the first term, and it's 1. Now watch this carefully. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. Okay? Now here's the other difference with synthetic division. You add. So 2 plus 2 is 4. And then you do it again. You're going to do 2 times 4 is 8. Now you add negative 6 plus 8 is 2. And then you go all the way back to the beginning and you do it one more time. So then we have 2 times 2 is 4, and negative 9 plus 4 is a negative 5. And then all you have to do is this. You just start from the front and work your way down. However, the key is you start with one exponent less than what's on top. So this is x cubed, so this is going to be 1x squared plus 4x plus 2 plus a negative 5 over x minus 2, and you are done. That is synthetic division. It is so much faster after you practice. Okay? Now again, you can only use synthetic division when you can get an integer solution for what you are dividing by. You do not need, or don't even attempt it if you have x squared plus 5x plus 7 or anything like that. Okay? So, here's 2 more examples. If you notice, the first part is the exact same in both, but the second part is different, and I'm going to show you a very essential skill that it's going to help you do a lot of really big factoring problems, and it's basically whether or not you get a remainder. So for both of these, we know we're going to have our solution. So x plus 2 is equal to 0, so we are going to synthetically divide by a negative 2. And inside we have a 1, negative 1, negative 2, and 8. Of course, your first step is to drop the first term, so this is 1. So negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. Add those together, you get negative 3. Negative 2 times a negative 3 is 6. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8. And negative 8 and 8 add to 0, which means you have no remainder. So that means we have x squared minus 3x plus 4, no remainder. If you have no remainder, then that means x equals -2 is a solution to this polynomial. So when we solve for x and you get no remainder, that means your -2 is a solution if you end up with no remainder. So now let's take the other example. This time we're going to synthetically divide by 1. We still have the same coefficients. So we're going to drop our 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and that's going to give us 0. 1 times 0 is 0. That's going to give us a -2. And then 1 times a -2 is a -2, and that's going to give us a remainder of 6, which is no good. So our answer to the division is actually x squared minus 2 plus 6 over x minus 1. That's our division, but that means x equals x equals 1 is not a solution because it gave us a remainder. So when we start solving for all zeros of a really big complex polynomial, you want no remainder. Okay? But that's synthetic division for you. Synthetic division, again, is an essential skill. It makes dividing super fast, and then from there, we're actually going to continue factoring. This is just a synthetic division and long division lesson. Alrighty? This is Longo, and I am out. See you, bye.